Ever get that feeling that a watch can be so much more than just, telling time? Like it's hinting at some other dimension, maybe. A really unique way of seeing things.
Yeah, like a little bit of wonder right there on your wrist.
Exactly. Well, for the past 15 years or so, Ressence has been consistently delivering that feeling. They've built a real name for themselves by completely rethinking what a watch can be. Just bringing this genuinely original creative spirit to, well, watchmaking.
Mm-hmm. What's so compelling is how relentlessly Ressence has challenged conventions. I
Yeah.
mean, their oil-filled designs, especially the Type 3 and Type 5, they really struck a chord, didn't they?
Oh, definitely.
That incredible, almost fluid display became instantly recognizable, generated a huge amount of admiration. And the crucial insight really was that Ressence totally decoupled the movement from the display,
Right.
which allowed for this unique oil-filled environment without compromising the mechanical side.
Absolutely. And it's that very spirit, that hallmark oil-filled, seemingly two-dimensional display that's at the heart of their latest thing, the Ressence Type 7 GMT.
The newest evolution.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, our mission is pretty straightforward.
Right.
We're going to explore the, well, highly original design and all the ingenious features of the Type 7 GMT. Really try to understand what makes it such a distinctive timepiece. Okay, let's dig in.
Okay. So the Type 7 GMT isn't just like a new model dropped out of nowhere. It's the latest step in a fundamental resonance approach. It builds on this concept of constantly shifting orbital display of time,
Right.
all powered by their patented ROCS, that's the Ressence Orbital Convex System.
ROCS, yeah.
Yeah.
I always think of it like a tiny solar system on the dial.
That's a great way to put it. Each indication, hours, minutes, whatever, is on its own little disk, and they all orbit around. Creates that really dynamic look.
Yeah. And this ROCS system, as I understand it, is pretty clever. It uses these seamlessly integrated disks for the different timings, all fitting into a main disk.
Mhm.
And the result is this incredibly clean, almost flat display. It really looks like everything's happening on one level.
Exactly. And this design philosophy, it's been a very deliberate, very consistent path for them. The founder, Benoit Minchien, he traces this core idea right back to the Type 0.
Ah, okay.
It's become the very essence of the brand. That fundamental visual language, the mechanical language.
Mm.
It defines what makes a Ressence a
It's
Ressence.
like they found their signature sound early on and have just been refining it. And speaking of key moments, the Type 3 feels like a real turning point.
Oh, absolutely huge.
It wasn't just about that orbital display. It was also their first oil-filled mechanical watch, and they got rid of the crown completely.
The Type 3 was truly groundbreaking. That pebble shape, the totally distortion-free view you get because of the oil, it was just a real testament to innovative engineering using specific materials.
Yeah.
It really cemented their unique identity. I mean, that simple look hides some serious engineering challenges they had to overcome for that clarity and function.
And from the Type 3, we then saw the Type 5, their diver, took that same oil-filled tech but made it, more robust, more tool-like.
Adapted for purpose.
And now here we are with the Type 7 GMT. You can really see that consistent thread, that unique display running through all of them, like chapters in the same story.
Precisely. This continuous evolution always centered around that distinctive oil-filled display. It's genuinely become the hallmark of Ressenses. It's more than just looks. Benoit himself has said it's integral to their identity.
Okay, now let's get into the Type 7 GMT itself.
Yeah.
The case. 41 millimeter, grade 5 titanium. Sounds like it has a pretty understated look.
It does, yeah. The brushed surfaces give it this subtle, kind of sleek appearance. There are some polished bevels here and there strategically placed to catch the light.
Nice little details.
Exactly. But overall, it leans towards that functional simplicity you often find in, like, tool watches.
And the crystal and bezel, they seem to add to that seamless, almost organic feel.
Absolutely. It's got this double-domed sapphire crystal that merges almost invisibly with the convex bezel, creates a really fluid transition, like it's all one sculpted piece. And then if you flip it over, the back, they've introduced a new style of construction there. There's a locking outer ring, and then a separate inner disc you use for setting and winding.
Interesting. So still no traditional crown, staying true to that original idea.
Exactly.
And you mentioned it wears comfortably.
Yeah, apparently so. Despite all the tech packed inside, they've thought about ergonomics. It's designed to sit well on the wrist.
Good to know. Now let's talk about the main event, really that incredible display. I think there were two color options at launch.
That's right. There's a night blue version. That one has a fixed ceramic bezel. And then there's an aquamarine, which comes with an aluminum bezel.
Okay.
But the layout of the display itself, that's identical on both. You've got the largest white hand indicating the minutes sweeping around that fixed bezel.
Right. And then those signature subdials. How are they laid out? What do they show?
Okay, so there are three main subdials. The biggest one shows the hours, primarily, but it also cleverly includes a little indicator for the oil's operating temperature.
Ah, handy.
Yeah. Then you have a smaller running indicator. Looks like it has a tiny shock absorber detail on it. And finally, the GMT indication. That uses a 24-hour scale with a little red triangle pointer.
And the whole thing,
Yeah.
the entire setup is constantly moving, right? That's the quintessential Ressence magic.
Exactly. The whole constellation of these discs and hands rotates continuously through the day, creates this dynamic, ever-changing picture right there on your wrist. It's quite something to watch.
Okay, so visually, it's captivating. But what's actually going on underneath to make this oil-filled thing work? The mechanics of it.
Right, this is where it gets really fascinating. The movement and the dial are actually in separate, hermetically sealed compartments.
Separate, okay.
Yeah. The base movement is a modified ETA caliber. It sits in a standard air-filled chamber, just like in a traditional watch.
Okay, so a normal movement in air,
Mm-hmm.
but then how does that drive the hands and things floating around in the oil next door? That sounds like a puzzle.
It is. And their solution is really ingenious. It's a magnetic transmission system. Yep. The minute hand's axle in the air-filled part drives a set of tiny magnets. These magnets then interact with another set of magnets located just on the other side of the barrier inside the oil-filled compartment.
Ah, I see.
This magnetic link basically transfers the turning force across that sealed barrier without any physical connection needed. It's a remarkably clever bit of engineering. Lets the two different worlds talk to each other.
Wow, that's seriously cool. So the oil is there for the look, the clarity, maybe damping things.
Exactly. It gives that depth and legibility.
Yeah.
But you're right to think about the oil itself. Doesn't it expand and contract when the temperature changes?
Yeah, that seems like it could cause problems. Pressure buildup.
It absolutely would. And Ressence engineered a very elegant solution. A specialized bellow system.
Bellows, like a tiny accordion.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It functions like a miniature expansion chamber. It automatically compensates for any pressure changes in the oil caused by temperature swings. It really is. It keeps the whole system stable and the timekeeping accurate. That little bellow is actually critical. Without it, temperature changes would wreck the accuracy, maybe even damage the watch. It's a neat solution to a significant hurdle.
Okay, now, setting the time and the GMT without a crown, using the case back, that sounds like it might be a bit unusual.
It is a different process, yeah.
So how does that work? You mentioned unlocking it first.
Right. First, you rotate that outer ring on the case back counterclockwise to unlock the center section. Then, for winding, you rotate that center section counterclockwise until you feel a little resistance. That's the winding zone.
Okay.
Then you just move it back and forth within a small arc, maybe about 10 minutes worth on a clock face. They say it's a gentler way to wind it than shaking it.
Interesting. A more deliberate way to wind? And setting the time itself?
Once you're past the winding part, or if you just keep turning that center section counterclockwise, that adjusts the hour hand. One full rotation of the case back equals 1 hour jump on the dial.
Got it.
So you set your main time zone hour. Then, to adjust the GMT subdial, you rotate the entire case back the other way, clockwise.
Okay. Opposite direction for GMT.
Yep. And finally, to set the minutes precisely, you go back to rotating just the center section counterclockwise again.
That sounds methodical.
Yeah.
You mentioned the movements on the back are sort of mirrored on the front. Does that take some getting used to?
It definitely takes a little bit of an initial learning phase. You have to connect what your fingers are doing on the back with what you see happening on the front.
Right.
But apparently, once you grasp that direct link, it becomes quite intuitive. Pretty straightforward, actually.
So a fundamentally different interaction compared to just pulling out a crown. Now, practically speaking,
Yeah.
that GMT adjustment, having to take the watch off, do the whole case back routine, isn't that a bit, well, fiddly,
Yeah.
especially if you travel a lot?
That's a very fair point. Usually, a GMT or dual-time watch is designed for quick changes, right? Crossing time zones.
Yeah, on the plane or
Yeah.
whatever.
Exactly. Having to take it off and go through that sequence. Yeah, it might be less convenient for someone who's constantly hopping between zones. Some might argue it's technically more of a dual time than a true quick-set GMT for that reason.
Okay.
But as we talked about, the whole design, that oil-filled chamber, It basically rules out putting normal pushers or correctors on the side of the case.
Right. Nowhere to put them without compromising the seal.
Precisely. So it's a design choice driven by that core technology and the clean look they wanted. Form influencing function in a very Ressence's way.
Makes sense. It's part of the package, I guess. Now let's talk about how it's presented.
Hmm.
I heard that Type 7 GMT is the first Ressence to come on a bracelet.
Yes, that's a big deal for them. A new addition. The bracelet is titanium, of course, matches the case, and it's designed to integrate really seamlessly.
Looks like it flows right into the case.
Yeah, exactly. And it has a micro-adjustable folding clasp, too, so you can get a really precise, comfortable fit.
Nice. And the specific versions, again, were the Midnight Blue and Aquamarine.
That's right. Midnight Blue is part of the permanent collection. The Aquamarine is a limited edition, only 80 pieces of that one.
Okay, 80 pieces, quite limited. And the price for all this? Innovation, unique design, clever engineering.
Both versions, the blue and the aquamarine, are priced at 36,000 Swiss francs. That's excluding VAT, of course.
Right, so definitely positioned in the higher end of watchmaking. But when you zoom out, look at the Type 7 GMT as a whole piece.
What's really remarkable, I think, is how all these different bits, the orbital display, the oil, the magnetic drive, the case back setting, how they all come together so well. The Type 7 GMT feels like a really compelling evolution of what Ressence is all about.
Yeah.
It's just this beautiful, functional mix of incredibly clever engineering and a very, very original take on what a watch can be.
Absolutely. The Ressence Type 7 GMT really highlights their dedication to pushing boundaries, rethinking conventional watch design. It's not just about telling time. It's about embodying this unique visual and mechanical philosophy.
Which kind of leads to an interesting thought for you, our listener. In this world of watches where tradition is often king, how much value do you place on that kind of radical originality? On a unique design, even if it means maybe rethinking familiar functions or stepping away from standard practicality.
Yeah, it definitely gives you something to mull over.
Yeah.
And looking ahead, beyond just knowing the time in two places, what other fascinating ways might new tech, new mechanics fundamentally reshape how we even think about timekeeping and how we interact with these little machines on our wrists? It's certainly a thought-provoking place to leave it.